today because WeWork is a really special community for me, and especially the Sandton community. I think the Sandton community is the fun party vibe. Yes, Naz agreed with me. So I want to get a little bit of a feel for the room of who we have here, and I know it's your lunchtime. So if you've got to take a call, go take a call. If you want to come and listen in, listen in. It's very casual. We have pastries. So who here works for an organization? You work for a company. Raise your hand. Great. And then who here works for yourself? Raise your hand. Nice. And then who does both? Okay, nice. Yes, a few of us are doing a few side hustles. So whether you're working for somebody else or for yourself, these principles still apply. And I want to invite you to listen to it today with your lens and the world that you work in. Please think about questions because I'm going to share a bit of a presentation and then I want to engage with you. I want to hear how this relates to you, what questions you have, and that makes it really real and we can all learn something. And then we can head back to work, feeling a little bit inspired. Okay, so I want to make an argument today. You don't have to agree with me. The argument is business moves at the speed of trust. Do you agree with me? I see a few, yes. And that's why I want to encourage and I want to push you a little bit into the space of positioning yourself as the trusted expert. So for those of you who don't know me, hello, I'm Ursula, and I am an executive communication and influence expert. Last year we did a lunch and learn session in a little room. I don't know if any of you were there, none of you were there. So Steph was there. When I signed up, when Nami invited me to do this, I thought I was doing a little session in a little room. I'm gonna hide over there, but no, we are here, we're doing things properly this time. So last year this is my humble brag, last year I did a sales presentation course. I got it CPD accredited. So I was very proud of it because I've been doing it with the banks, got the CPD certification. My uncle came over from the US, he works at a solar company, and he was complaining about his sales teams. So I said, opportunity. I have a sales course, CPD accredited, and he said, Ush, I don't need my guys to be polished. I don't need them to, put on a show. I need my guys to be the trusted expert. And that's everything, right, in business. So even when I did some work with the WeWork team last year, Papa Steph, who's sitting over here, he said to me, I trust you. And that meant everything, because that meant we can walk a journey, right? So I want to demonstrate my point. So my fiance loves nougat. I'm always looking for really great nougat and looking for a few brands. Will you hold this up for me? Thank you. Okay, do you trust this brand? I'm getting a weird look. No, it's like white labeled. You can test it for us. You can test it for us, Sam. Who else wants to test one for us? Okay, let me see how so while they're testing, I'll share a bit of a story, a bit of research from Harvard. So Amy Cuddy and her team, they wanted to know, how do we evaluate people when we meet them for the very first time? So we always ask two questions to ourselves when we're evaluating each other. Can I trust you? Can I respect you? Trust and respect, really valuable. One has got more weight than the other one. Which one? Trust. Good. Credibility, respect, it's also really important. We want to work with people who are really good at what they do. Some of you want to have high-performing teams, want to work with people who are good at what they do. But if I can trust you, then I can walk a journey with you. How did those nougats taste? Pretty good? Okay? How do we feel about Wedgwood? That Yolita's like, yes, that's the one I love.
What's the name, sorry?
Wedgwood. You can, yes, okay, try it. There and here. Oh, you already have, she's got a pastry, it's fine. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we have, so it's trust and respect. So we can walk a journey with Wedgwood because we know the brand. Okay, so the point is proven. I want to go just to one deeper level and then we're going to get into the content. So everything is speeding up. You know, business is speeding up. AI is really exciting. And the noise is getting louder. Our phones are ringing. Robots are calling us. So humans are cognitively overloaded. We have a lot coming to us. So we use mental shortcuts. And mental shortcuts help us make decisions faster, usually correctly. Because that's how humans have evolved, and culture supports us in this. So you get thank you, the chai lattes are coming out, so just raise your hand perhaps if you want a chai latte. So you have people like Robert Cialdini, who's got really great frameworks to help people take advantage of our mental shortcuts. And one of them in the framework is called authority. So people with authority, that's the trusted expert. They help us make those decisions faster. So here's how I'm going to push you to get to your speed of trust. We are going to look at self-trust. Who of you has a bit of imposter syndrome? Those are my people. Okay, so we're going to look at a little bit of self-trust. We're going to look at messaging. This is where we get into strategic communication. I'm going to give you a bit of presentations, a format you can follow. Are any of you doing TED Talks? Because I know WeWork has got a TED Talk relationship. Not yet, okay? And then we're going to look at a little bit of thought leadership. Okay, so here's my question to you. How do you know who is the most powerful person in the room? You're not allowed to answer, Jason. I know you know the answer. How do you know? They don't say much. They don't have to say much. So Caroline Goyder, she is the voice coach in the UK. And she's got this TED Talk on speaking with confidence. And she says, the most powerful person in the room is the person with the most controlled breathing pattern. The breathwork junkies in the house all nodded their heads. Why? Because it means your nervous system is calm. So a calm, grounded nervous system, it gives you that gravitas. So Caroline Goyder goes on to say, imagine the king walking into a room. So they're calm, they're expansive. That's what breath does. It expands your body, your posture, your voice. It really drops down and makes you feel really strong and powerful. But I want to bring this into the conversation about your nervous system. Now, the amygdala, what is the amygdala? It's the almond-shaped area in your brain. It's your fear center. It wants to protect you. It wants to keep you safe. So that's the part of your brain that when a saber-toothed tiger was coming close or was chasing you back in our ancestor days, that's the part of your brain that goes, run, get out of here. Today, when you have to put yourself out there, maybe you're standing at the WeWork common areas, or you have to go into a negotiation, or those spaces where you're required to be really visible and you want to hide, that amygdala will make you hide. But trust and communication, we need face time. It means putting yourself out there. So often it's getting over that little imposter syndrome and keeping ourselves safe and putting ourselves out there. So I'm going to share with you a story that happened to me when I started my business, and perhaps this can help you when you need to take that next scary step and your amygdala is trying to keep you safe. So my very first workshop, welcome everybody. So my very first workshop I did with a bank. I had this vision of what we're going to do, and they were really excited to do it, and they gave me a pilot. And if this pilot went well, they would roll it out. So a lot of weight was on this one workshop. And you get that one voice that says to you, what are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. You've never done this before. Yes, Naz. And then you have the other voice that says, ooh, I want to play. I want to try new things. I want to make the delegates do videos and experiment with them and do things they've never done before. So that's the voice that's playful and fun and confident. And so this imposter syndrome, it's a constant navigating. It's about listening to the imposter voice, giving it airtime, and then just calmly just taking that next step and that next step and that next step. And so for me in that rollout, it was a great success. People's lives were changed, and we did a massive rollout through the bank. So, who of you have high stake meetings, engagements coming up? Who wants to share with us what is that for you? Sam, you raised your hand.
Let someone else go first.
Okay, Yulita, your hand went up. Raphael said he's so excited to pass the microphone today. Yes. A high stake engagement for you, is that a meeting?
Yeah, sure. Like, I guess a very big client that could lead to, either high credibility kind of signals or just later growth for the company, or just someone that you want to be aligned with. So those are like very high stakes. And when you're a startup, you don't get many of those opportunities. And so when you meet, like you have to close them there. Or you have to leave a good impression, good enough so that conversations can happen at some point.
Love that. Thank you for sharing that. I want to, and I think a lot of people here can relate to what Yulita just shared. Joe Navarro, he is like the master in body language and communication. And he always says in negotiations that the aim is to get face time. As much face time as possible. It's not necessarily getting the yes. It's just the more time I get in front of you, the longer I can engage with you, the more I'm building trust with you. So that is also something to think about in your engagements. And that's why the third point on thought leadership is important. Okay, Sam, you're going to share with us? What's your high stake moment? You are the audience too. Anybody else? High stakes. Okay, thank you, Lita. You were very brave in sharing that with us. So here is a little tool. When we go back to that question about how do you know who is the most powerful person in the room? The person with the most relaxed breathing pattern. Okay. So this concept of the king who walks into a space, when Caroline Goyder shared that in her video, I took it further. And so in a lot of my workshops and with all my clients, we do what I call the king technique. Okay, we know the king technique. So the king technique is a game, and I'm going to share this game with you. You can play it. Nobody needs to know that you're playing it, but it's really helpful to program your body, program your nervous system for those high-stake moments before you get to those high-stake moments. Now, Chris Voss always says it's low-stake practice for high-stake results. So this is a low-stake practice. The king technique is basically you choose a segment. So my runner friends know a segment is, walking from point A to point B. So you could say, today, walking from the parking lot to the entrance of WeWork, I'm going to walk in the king technique. And king technique is literally you feel your feet, because often when we lose touch with our grounding, we get nervous and anxious, we go into our heads. And we go into a spin, and we go into our head voices. So you feel your feet, you expand your body, and you walk like the king, all the way to the entrance. They're laughing. Then the next time you do it, you're at the restaurant, and you're going to walk to the bathroom. And people are going to watch you, because you're going to walk in the king technique, and it's like, oh, this lady's got presence. And you're going to stick with it. You're going to want to shrink, but you want to stick with it. And then the next time, you've got to talk in front of 300 people. And your whole body and your amygdala is going to be on fire, and you're going to say everything is on the line. And you're going to go back into your king technique, and you're going to try that. And I know there's some fearless, brave soul sitting here looking at me, but on Tuesday, when I was seeing my client right before he went on stage in front of 300 people, now this guy rocks the stage, he's really good, and he's got that big presence, big guy. And right before going on stage, he said to me, I am so scared. And I thought, okay, we're just human, right? We're just human. And every now and then, a little tool and a little game can help us. So try that one out. Who's going to try it out? Thank you, my WeWork people. Thank you, Jason. All right. The clicker is not working with me. Okay, next is your messaging. What is the definition of effective communication? Remember this one. Effective communication is communication with purpose. When you have purpose, that's all it is. Okay, so I want you to look to the person next to you and say one goal. Look at the person next to you, say one goal. One goal, okay? Say one goal. Turn to the person on the other side of you and say one goal. One goal. One goal, okay. So your next meeting that you're going into today, one goal. Your presentation, one goal. Today I made a thesis statement. I said to you, business moves at the speed of trust. That's my one goal to share with you. So that is effective communication. Have that one goal. Yulita was saying, when I'm having this high-stake meeting, one goal, I want to have a second conversation. One goal. Now, your problem is, and this is most people's problems when it comes to presentations, communication, all of that, is you know too much. You know too much, so you get stuck in the detail. So you want to tell people everything. Yes, she knows. And then a lot of us are very logical, and we want to get into all that. It's boring. People they can't stick around for all those details. We want the magic, want to bring people in. And I believe in frameworks. Now, Papa Steph was at my session on how to pitch yourself. And so I shared my frameworks, and he was like, I don't fit in a box. So for some people, frameworks don't work, okay? And I believe that. And sometimes somebody said to me at Rosebank when I was there earlier this week, they said, oh, it's hard to stick in the framework. And I totally get it, so you don't have to. But it does help organize your thinking. And I think it's about just having that thing that can help you. So Sam, who's sitting here in the front, how would you introduce yourself? You work at The Economist.
I work at The Economist.
He works The Economist. He's the membership.
I run an.
Hi everyone. I didn't know she was going to do this.
Sorry.
I advise business leaders on how to make sense of everything that's going on and make better decisions. I try to at least. So.
He does a great job at it. So thank you, Sam. So Sam invites me to be on a panel for Women's Day that The Economist was hosting. And it's a great opportunity. Thank you, Sam. Loved it. He phones me the night before the time. I did not like that part. Phones me the night because I'm not prepped. I'm going to be on the panel. I know what the questions are going to be. I'm ready. The night before the time, he phones me and he says, can you do the scene setting opening for the day? My amygdala was on fire. I was like,
The truth comes out.
the truth comes out. So amygdala goes on fire, panic mode. I have to open this event. And then I know I've got a framework, and I've got a really good framework. So I said, of course, Sam. I'm a girl, I got you. It's fine. And then I put down the phone, took that deep breath, and I went into my framework because I know this thing works. I've taught it to so many people. I use it each time. So whether it's a 5-minute presentation or a 25-minute presentation, it works, and it's really simple. So think back into English essay writing. You write that essay, it is introduction, body, conclusion. It's the exact same thing with a few tweaks. Ooh. Okay, so we have the introduction. I'm now going into teaching mode. Does anyone have a presentation coming up anytime soon? Okay, we've got like 3. And play with this. And I have if you're not making notes, I've got a downloadable thing that I'm sharing with you afterwards. Normally you can share it with us as well. So you start with an introduction, you start with a hook. What is a hook? Hook is bringing people in. So you can ask a question. You'd say, what does it take to give a great presentation? What does it take to get this program launched in a week? Or what does it take to do that? Or you can say, imagine. Imagine we got this program launched in a week. Imagine we could sell 100 of these items. So you just start with that hook and everybody's like, yeah, that would be really cool. This stuff works. I shared this with a client. He told his HR. His HR came back, said, I was a discovery. And they were speaking about what would it take? Why does this matter now? Did you know? Like they were just speaking in hooks. So this is a really good method to have when you present because it pulls people in. So you hook them in, then you introduce yourself. Then you, hello, I am so-and-so. So you don't start with introducing yourself. You hook, then you introduce yourself, which is a very nice polished method. Tell them why it matters. People are more interested, we get more compliance when we know like this matters. You have to tell me why this matters. And then give them the agenda for the day, the overview. So how many of you started with the agenda? So, you know, we're first letting people in on why it's important and then we get into it. Then we go into the bridge. Now, all those details, where's my detail lady? She's left us. All the details, all the information you have, that's where you share that. This is how we're going to launch that channel. Here's the plan. Or this is how we're going to sell 100 products. Or this is how we're going to speak to that client who's going to be amazing for us. So that's where you can geek out. And you can even break it into 3 parts. I like to, you can see the structure of this presentation. There's 3 parts: self-trust, your message, your thought leadership. This is one line. One line, we tell them the cost. If we don't do this, it's going to cost us the channel. Or this is what happens when you don't share your voice. So that's the negative. Then tell them the positive. If we do this, this is the really great thing that's going to come out of it. Even though you think you already said this, people need to hear it, like explicitly. Then you go into your Q&A. And then you go into your close. So we never end on the Q&A. Why not? Because the last impression is the lasting impression. If you end on a really bad Q&A, people are going to remember the really bad Q&A. And that could be people don't ask questions, they're not engaging with you, or perhaps they ask difficult questions, or they throw you under a bus, whatever that is. You work too hard. So you want to then take it back. And how we end is we just say those words, in conclusion. You have to say, in conclusion. I once had a client for 10 minutes, she was saying, and lastly. It's really painful when somebody says lastly for 10 minutes because your brain wants to get to your next thing. And then my favorite way to end, and this is really nice for when you're thinking on the spot, you'd say the last line, you say, I want to leave you with. Because that's the experience you want to leave them with. If you want to leave them with something inspiring, you want to leave them with the next step, you want to leave them with a thought, you want to leave them with that one goal, this is your moment to say that. Got it? Okay, so who's going to try it out? Yes, okay, nice, I got buy-in. That's great. I'm not going to overload you with this, but if you want to stay at the end, I can take you through this framework. This is for the pillars. Remember I told you there's the 3 pillars, the bridge, and how to go through it? So when I was in the US in December, a guy shared with us a framework on how to do all those parts. And I'm writing a book at the moment, and I'm actually building all my chapters on that framework. So very happy to share that with you after the Q&A, after my conclusion. Okay. How to be the trusted expert. And this is a little bit where thought leadership comes in. So positioning yourself as that trusted expert, whether it's out there in the world, on the LinkedIn world, Will and I had a good conversation about this the other day, whether it's about putting yourself out in the LinkedIn world or in your organization as that trusted expert. So a good running friend of mine who is the CEO of a company, he's got great thought leadership. And he's got his newsletter, and he posts on LinkedIn, and he does webinars, and he's the go-to expert in his field. And he shared something with me that I really loved. He said, trust is everything in his world. And so the more he's engaged online and put his expertise out there, he often meets people who go, oh, I feel like I know you because I know your content. I'm familiar with your expertise. And that's done half the job for him. Half the trust has already been built. So for those of you on the fence of, oh, I don't know if I should put myself out there, if it works in terms of being and positioning as the trusted expert, go for it. Try it. Play with it. Experiment with it. Your amygdala wants to keep you safe. Just put yourself out there. Or you can put yourself out there in your organization. Do you have town halls where you can speak? I'm going to pick on Jason. Jason, I mean, he's just done more stand-ups and given himself and his organization more opportunities to speak, because that's how you build the muscle. Thank you that I could share your story. Then there's another thing about putting yourself out there as that trusted expert. So in my book that I'm busy writing and publishing soon, my friend said to me the other day, she said, "You've been telling me about writing this book for a very long time." So we'll do a little launch, hopefully at WeWork soon. I was speaking to Anal Bosman, and she's the head of CIB at Nedbank. And she shared with me how she prepares for her meetings. And she literally writes down all the counter arguments that will come to her. So she writes down her one goal, and then all the counter arguments that every stakeholder could give her. Pen and paper, not computer, pen and paper. She writes it down. And that makes her really robust and strong in her messaging and how she positions herself out there. So, your one thing to play with, choose a platform, go write that LinkedIn post, go do that thing where you can position yourself as a thought leader. I know you already do it, Sam. What's the next one thing? Will brought an interesting question into our Rosebank session. He said, Ursula, but with Claude and AI, it's so easy to create that content and feels a little bit without soul. And I think perhaps video is the next way to put yourself out there and connect in a different way. Okay, so love the wisdom in the room. Thank you for coming to the session, guys. Thank you for sharing your lunchtime with us. Do you have a long question, a short question? Oh, whose question? We can chat at the end. For those of you, I don't know if you're cognitively overloaded. I wanted to know if you wanted to see the framework that you can use for a TED Talk, the parts system that I quickly overwent. For those of you also who want to get the PDF for the talk, you can just click on that and you'll get the PDF. I'll also ask Nami to email it to everyone. Where's Nami? I'll send it to you. We can share it with them. So I'm just going to give you a moment to look at that. And then the paths framework. So this is what when I went to the US, this guy shared with us how he structures all his chapters in his books and all those like one pillar in your talks. This is the last thing I'm going to leave you with, and then you can get back. It's a very simple technique. Just go there. So you start with a phrase. Think of Mel Robbins. What's her phrase? Let them. It doesn't want to click. Well, I'll explain it to you. Got it. So the P is for having a phrase. Let them. Simon Sinek said, start with why. It's that one phrase. So I broke my messages into how do you know who's the most powerful person in the room? I like questions because that gets my audience thinking. The messaging part was one goal. That was my phrase. And then in the thought leadership one, I don't know what my phrase was today. Anyways, okay, then you tell an anchor story. This is where you give some research. This is where you perhaps tell that relatable story. This is where you can give the backing, the data, the science. So now you're really anchoring it. Then reflection, like having a reflection point. So this is where Jason would say to his team, so how does that land for you guys? This is where I would say to you, who of you have a high-stake meeting coming up? Or who of you got a presentation? So just reflect back to the audience. So you can let them chat to each other. Then we go into technique. All right, here's the system. Here's the method. Now we're going into technicality of getting something done. And the S is the sell. That's the return on investment. Here's why you want to do it. what I did in this talk, I would each time say, here's your one thing. Go try this one king technique. Go have your one message. Go make one LinkedIn post. So that is a very nice, when he shared this, I thought this was gold. All my chapters are written, and my book are written like this. So if I need to go do a talk, I can just literally take a chapter, that's my pillar. If you go, you get invited to speak somewhere and they're running short on time, you can literally just share one pillar. Because a pillar is like a TED Talk. It's your one idea. It's good. Cool. So enjoy it. And yeah, what's to lose when we let the imposter syndrome take over? We don't get to share our genius. Those amazing ideas, those experiments you want, they go nowhere. And then what's to win? You can make an impact in your business. You can really get that deal with that client. Like, there's so much possibility. And if you don't get it, like, at least you got the confidence, the experience of doing it. Yes.